Welcome. I just thought I'd do a quick video on the association with fairy tales and religion and the human body. Tales like Christmas, Santa Claus and things like that, where it all came from, and which just proves that, the Illuminati, whoever runs this joint, they know all this stuff because it goes way back. Even spaceships, they were manufacturing this technology 150 years ago. But putting that aside, let's take Santa Claus for a starter. Santa Claus, Klaus, as in Claustrum. In the human brain we have two narrow passageways called Claustrums. They either very narrowly open or not at all. They must be open a little bit, I think. But anyway, in a spiritual sense, this is going a bit deep, but what actually happens to a human body in his awakening, his enlightenment, is these two narrow passageways enlarging. They expand, and through that gate, because that's what they're called, the gates of heaven, when a man's enlightened, will open and they will not be shut. And when they open, they send, it's the flood of the human brain. It's the Noah creation story, because it's associated with the human brain and earth, because we are fractals of the earth. See this magnetic field here? It forms the shape of the brain above earth. That we see the sun in here, in the tropics. That's the pineal gland. Otherwise you take these two spheres here, there's our sun. They can say that's the pineal gland. They say there's always two or three involved in every tale, religious tale. So these two claustrums enlarging, and in the flood surges, awakens the frontal lobe. And this is where you get the wisdom and the knowledge, the ancient knowledge, and that being released, or your frontal lobe lighting up and enlivening dormant cells or something. Because we're all born into hell. We're born half brain dead, basically. We all think we know stuff because we have ego and ignorance. With ego and ignorance, we know everything. Ancients were really dumb, They didn't know how to build pyramids that we can't build today, And so the surges, the flood through to the frontal lobe and wakes it up. And this is depicted with the Uraeus in the ancient Egyptians, what they've got on their forehead. Because the snake represents the magnetic field. Earth's magnetic field, the same magnetic field that flushes through a human body. Because in the divine story, like the Jesus story, here's the ultimate awakening, the Jesus story. The Jesus story is an event. And yes, and there's a man involved because it happens to any man when the stars are aligned and he's in the right place up here. What happens is the ultimate moment is in spring. This is the strongest magnetic field Earth can be in, is a trinity. In spring, and a full moon at 3 in the morning, 3 till 3:30. And this is about Jesus when he arrives at 30 and gone by 33. It's the same story. And then we've got the human body to think about, the coccyx. That coccyx is like an antenna. Scientists want you to think you had a tail and it fell off. No, the coccyx is a substation. There's an organ up here between your chest. There's another substation, and then you've got this thing up in the brain. Cortex. Forget the name. Starts with C, I think. Is this thing like this, or it's like this actually, and The centre of your brain's in here. And this thing here represents the iron rod the ancient Egyptians are holding there. You can see this thing at the top, it looks like this. It represents up here, and the bottom is a fork, represents the magnet, which is the earth. Because what happens is, at this divine period, the magnetic field of earth, which is negative, connects through your body, through your system, with the full moon at spring, and comes together like lightning, and bang, awakens up your pineal gland. Not that you feel it all, or you'll feel the sensation, but there's no big bang or no electric shock. It's a magnetic field. Flows through the human body and flushes through the body. And the system, what it does is it awakens the pineal gland, stimulates something up there, and releases the water from around the pineal gland, because the pineal gland sits in water, and that floods through the system. And it's all over and done with within half an hour. And this is you've seen in places like Bali and Indonesia, you'll see a lot of other cultures have the snake up the back of the statues that go right up the back, up to the forehead, right up to here. That's the magnetic field. That's what it represents. All these ancient cultures knew about it. All religions all come to this one story. Back to this one story. All about creation. And what else do we have? We have everything that's been created coming all the way back to a black hole, because creation comes out of a black hole. It's all amplified out. It's just like all the religions. They're all amplified out all around the world, but they all come back to one base, one story, one fact. And that's about the divine awakening of the human body, the human brain. And that's the meaning of life. We're put on earth here in a physical form to connect with the spiritual side. Because there's everything in nature is a dual system. Earth is a dual system. There's the duality, the northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. There's a gap. At the celestial equator, there's a gap in the sky. There's two separate rotations. You'll see one there and one there. But they're connected through a magnetic field. One magnetic field. It's like this, the primary, the secondary maybe, or vice versa. Because everything's projected from the centre, this projection is actually amplified out here. This is the same picture of what's going on in here. It's just shown from this direction. This one is Polaris on the night sky here. This one is the southern rotation. And when you get these forms here, these profiles, and this turning, you get to understand why you're getting this rotation out here. It's convex. It's just the way it is. This is the association with the earth and the human brain. So that's Santa Claus. And so get back to the Claustrum. So the Claustrum in regards to Santa is Santa coming down the chimney, right? How's a big fat man going to fit down a narrow? Well, because it opens, so he can fit down. That's Santa. Santa, and he's red. It's with the blood, mixing with the blood. You know all about the blood and the religions. And the oil, the anointing oil, the oil that comes out of the pituitary gland or maybe the pineal gland somewhere, but it all mixes in the system and wakes a man up. So Santa Claus, and you know, he comes down the chimney bearing gifts. It's the gift of God. You get given the gift, the wisdom, the knowledge, history, and well, maybe he doesn't go back up, and that might refer back to the three wise men that came from the east and left by another route. So he comes down the chimney and leaves by another route, goes out the door after his milk and cookies. That's Santa Claus. So you look up Claustrum, look online, and they only speak of one. They don't show a full brain with two of them that represent the cherubim protecting the tabernacle, the centre of your brain, the divine place, your holy place. That's your Jerusalem in there. steeple, tower to Christ, Tower of Babel, a connection to the divine. All the babble, all this information that comes to you at night, just like that movie, that English guy, that comedian, played that guy, died, I think he died. Then you got all this babble, everyone's bloody talking at the same time. It's associated with that. So yeah, you go online, you only find half. They don't talk about one half of the brain. What, are they trying to hide it or what? But they represent the cherubim and the tabernacle, the holy place, gold. Whenever they talk about gold, you know it's to do with the holy place instead of your brain. It's your spirit, spiritual understanding and knowledge. And when you want to go up the mountain, that's when it's meditation, going up through the chakras, getting into your holy place. You go up the mountain to speak to God, sort of thing. Is that. Just talk about center, body, Claustrum. The ancient Egyptians knew all about this. This is what everything they've left us is all about, this awakening. It's a divine awakening while we're here in the physical world. Your old life will be basically it dies, like they're saying in the Bible, destroyed, all this slaughter and all these wars and fighting going on. It's you keeping the faith, because you're having your conscious battles, mental battles, keeping it. You know you have to stick to the right path once this thing happens to you, because you know the consequences. You know, and so yeah, that's it. It's the religious side. What else can I say? So we've done the brain, tabernacle. The Holy Grail. I've done a video on the Holy Grail. I found the Holy Grail. Claustrum. Then you got all the fairy tales, like in movies, like The Wizard of Oz. She's it's based on maybe her having the divine knowledge and the wicked witch trying to get it off her, and she goes off to this place and wants to come back home. Home being where us humans have come from, where we come from before we come into this physical realm, wanting to get back home. If you can understand that. The yellow brick road up to the ice sculpture, the castle. Well, that's the centre of Earth. That's where all the magic happens. Everything is created up here. It's all hidden up there above the Arctic. That's the tree of life. Everything out here comes from there. Every culture, ancient culture, knew about that tree. The tree in the centre of the garden. Then you've got the seven dwarfs. You know, you've got the planet, you've got the wandering stars. Maybe the same thing, haven't been into that yet. Jack and the Beanstalk. Climbing up this beanstalk to get to the egg. There's the sun. Sits in an egg shape, cosmic egg with the planets around it. And the girl playing the harp. And the harp's connected to that thing I was just talking about up in your brain, shaped like this. It's all about frequencies. Our whole realm is based on frequencies. Sound from the sun, the black hole. It's all based on frequency. Frequencies creates light. And he talked about the golden egg. So you get there, the golden egg. You've got the harp. Giant. How does that come into it? Can't remember. But you know, you got the beanstalk, the egg, the harp, stealing the golden egg, stealing the information. Pineal gland, once it's been opened. There's plenty of other stories. So that's all I can think of off the top of my head. So you got wormed eye head, bite thy heel, wound thy head. That's the moon and the earth coming through the human body, working the pineal gland. The same system works here to create the sun. You've got the field coming up here and the field being sucked down that way. Creates the sun. Low pressure being sucked into this high pressure. Bang. So at the end of the day, magnetism is pressure, basically pressure, because magnetism needs electricity and electricity needs magnetism. So you could say electricity is the high pressure, magnetism is the low pressure. And these two high pressures come together to come into this low pressure area. And I've shown that in a previous video, a model I've got where the electrical current, two parallel currents opposing each other, create this magnetic field which gets sucked back into the core and creates a perpetual motion. If I can use that word, perpetual. When they heal, and we've got seven everything, seven this, seven that. You've got 7 layers up here in the sky, and they're all different pressures and gaseous layers that represent all the planets. These planets probably sit in each layer. They're all separated the waters from above from the waters below. It's the sea. They settle in their own places, but you've got the waters above separated. This gives you different pictures of these planets, which hold the different frequencies. It's all about fire and water, electromagnetism with the water. We see things up there because of the water. These are all projections from the center here, all based on frequencies, fire and water. What else can I say? And it's probably about it off the top of my head. Cheers. Thanks for watching.